Hey everybody, good morning. It is a different type of morning today, and it probably will be a different type of morning every single day for the next few months. I think that a lot of things have been said about the coronavirus epidemic that are dangerous in a way and untrue, mainly by social media influencers. As a former physician, a former pathologist, who specialize in the study of disease, I can tell you that right now it is like we're looking at a pixelated picture. And this was said by the director of the Mayo Clinic for Vaccine Research. You know, it's like we have 30 to 50% of this picture coming through right now. And we can guess at what the picture will eventually be. We can make our predictions, but we are guessing to a certain extent. We are basing this upon the behavior of other coronaviruses in the past. We're basing this on our conjecture about how the population will react. So, as I was saying, a lot of it will depend upon how we behave and how we respond in light of the numbers that are coming in light of the increasing scientific evidence and knowledge that we gather about coronavirus as this pandemic spreads. So right now, when I see social media posts of people going to parks and people going out to dinner and people hosting birthdays in spite of this, I am a little bit irritated because in all honesty, 95% of the people I love and care about work in the healthcare industry. And those people are at the front lines and are at super high risk of becoming infected with COVID and spreading it to other people, etc. A lot of the intensivists that I know who work in ICUs are already self-quarantining themselves from their families. And you know, all of this is a huge strain. If we lose our frontline healthcare workers, if they get sick and die, that will be an enormous catastrophe. And so for that reason alone, people should be, importantly, this is not the time to say, I can't do this perfectly, so I'm not going to do it at all. The more we can self-quarantine, the better. Every single contact that you avoid, the better. If you could do it perfectly, that's wonderful. Some of us cannot. For example, my husband works in the healthcare industry. Unless we quarantine ourselves from him, we will continuously be slightly exposed. The best I can do at this stage is not expose anyone else to us, right? So I try to keep us at home. And I try to make sure that he strips and showers and everything before seeing us. And that everything he brings into the house is disinfected, etc., like his computer, his phone, his keys. This is the time for us to do our very best to protect those at the highest risk, which include immunocompromised people, elderly people, all the people on the front lines in the healthcare industry. So when we talk about flattening the curve, what we're trying to do is decrease the amount of hospital admissions at any one given time. I don't think people fully absorb the importance of this because they don't know how few ICU beds there are. We are not equipped in this country to handle the amount of ICU beds that will be required if this pandemic spreads at the same trajectory as it has spread in Italy. That's a fact. We simply do not have the beds. We don't have the respirators. We don't have the ventilators. We don't have the equipment. I think that the best thing you can do, I'm hearing a lot on social media about people who are saying, oh, but I want to volunteer and I can't get out there and this is my identity, and this is not about you. This time is about us protecting the people at the front lines, protecting the healthcare workers, protecting the elderly, protecting the immunocompromised. Do your very best to limit contact because viruses spread. So this is very much in our hands right now as individuals. Like epidemiologists and scientists and researchers are looking to see what we do. Like the people in this country are the variable, the uncontrollable variable. The weather, the summer, all of these things may change the severity of the coronavirus pandemic, but we are the biggest unknown factor. So if we can exert some self-control and some compassion towards others and really restrict our interpersonal contact, that will be the best predictor of success. When we look at countries like South Korea and Japan and we ask, like, what have they done right? What to flatten that curve to decrease the spread? One, they've had exceptionally good and rapid outpouring of testing. Two, they've done a really good job of instituting quarantines, and they have a more compliant society that generally follows rules and regulations better. So as I was saying, in lieu of federally mandated or state mandated quarantines, the best we can do is as individuals, the most giving thing we can do right now is self-quarantine. limit your interpersonal contact, don't buy out the supplies, really think about flattening that curve. Like, really think about the implications, because at this moment in this country, we have under 100,000 ICU beds, I believe. If this actually reached the state that it would in Italy, we would need twice as many beds. By the way, those 100,000 beds in this country are not empty beds. They are generally occupied. So as I was saying, we are not fully equipped. Flattening the curve is really, really important. If the disease has the present rate of fatality that it has now, which is about 0.03%, which is less than Italy had at this point in the infection, that would still be hundreds of thousands of people hospitalized and tens of thousands of people that would die. So we want to decrease that rate. We want to get that reproduction rate of that virus further down. The only way to do that is if more of us engage in self-quarantine, engage in like limiting our interpersonal contact. This is not a drill. Like, this is the real thing. And I think that the time for personal gratification, because you are a volunteer, because you do this or that or the other thing, this is not the time for that. This is truly the time to understand that the best thing you can do is to really hunker down, be together at home with your family, do your very best to wash your hands, to maintain good, viral protocols, and just really listen to the science. Stop listening to the random blogs and all of this stuff. And when I say random blogs, I don't mean me, because I used to be a physician, and I cannot encourage you enough to hunker down and just take this seriously. Don't panic, but also be realistic about what this is. We are much closer to the beginning of this than even the middle. So we'll have to wait and see and just see how it unfolds. But anybody who's telling you they know how it'll unfold is wrong.